Hello YouTubers. Many of my videos could be described as pessimistic or critical. I guess it's kind of hard not to be pessimistic when looking at the current state of our society. Here we are in a world with Trump and coronavirus. So we need an optimistic and hopeful message for the future, don't we? Hopefully this video reveals an optimistic and forward-looking message that is not only achievable, but likely. If you're progressive and either haven't considered joining the Republican Party or haven't seen a reason to join, well, you're in luck because this video is going to explain exactly why progressives should join the Republican Party. Yes, I'm certainly aware that viewers who are currently progressive Democrats are highly skeptical at best, but hear me out. At the very least, my hope is that even the most skeptical of progressives can plainly see that this is an honest effort to reach out by showing to the best of my ability what the Republican Party has to offer. The main points that I'll make in this video are why I believe the Republican Party will change to attract progressives, and that critical analysis leads to the conclusion that there is far more opportunity in the Republican Party than of any other party, even in forming a third party. If willing to grab that opportunity, think of the positive change, the progress, as you might say, that would take place in America. Let's start by considering why most progressives haven't previously considered joining the Republican Party. To my understanding, the reason is that most progressives either think that being progressive and being Republican is contradictory, or they don't see the Republican Party as being reflective of their values. There's a strong case that it is not contradictory for progressives to join the Republican Party, and that the Republican Party may even be more reflective of progressive values than you previously considered. Yes, the Republican Party is thought of as the conservative party, but keep in mind that there isn't really anything conservative about the policies of many Republicans, with the Rand Paul types being the exception. However, members of the Republican Party seek to conserve the values and opportunity which made this country into the most powerful nation that's existed. There's nothing contradictory about identifying as a progressive Republican. I'm a progressive Republican, after all. However, if you're really uncomfortable with the term progressive Republican, there's actually a much better label. It's called Roosevelt Republicans. A person doesn't have to change their values to label themselves differently, do they? And while currently fairly small in number, there is a base in the Republican Party that identifies with the first progressive president, the same man that literally formed the first progressive party, though more commonly known as the Bull Moose Party, should show that there is room for progressives within the Republican Party. I expect this movement to grow. Why so? Well, for one, Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican and the most popular president ever. And even though progressive, he's looked fondly upon by the GOP. What's important to understand is that Donald Trump has changed the Republican Party. But what comes after Trump? Put it this way, even if you call Trump a fake populist, he broke the power of the establishment of the Republican Party. He did it by having them work for him and having to deal with his mean tweets. So now that power is moving into the Democratic Party. Why do you think Colin Powell is voting for Biden? See, Trump's plan is going almost exactly as intended. He wants the establishment to hate him so much that they'll switch to the Democratic Party. That's why he surrounds himself with them, so they'll hate him. And hasn't he done a fabulous job of it so far? So let Trump chase the establishment to the Democratic Party. Because of Trump, the GOP will now become the populist party. And what do populist parties do? They elect popular leaders who are very powerful because of their populism. It's no coincidence that the most popular president ever, Teddy Roosevelt, was also the most powerful president we've had. Nor is it any coincidence that Roosevelt was the first progressive president. He was popular because he was progressive, and he was powerful because he was popular. He grabbed more power than any president before or after, though Trump has given him a run for his money. It should be noted that there is nothing wrong with grabbing power if that power is used for good, as Roosevelt did. By now, I hope it's been shown that there is room for progressives in the Republican Party, who commonly identify as Roosevelt Republicans. I hope it's also been shown why a movement like this is expected to grow. Rather than to say things like Republicans won't accept us or that Republicans are not reflective of my values, realize the opportunity to help shape the Republican Party into a better party. After all, the conditions are ripe for a Teddy Roosevelt figure to emerge. Isn't the realization of an actual opportunity for positive and transformational change a compelling reason to join a movement? As already noted, because of Trump, the populist movement is growing within the GOP. So by getting in on the ground game and effectively adding a whole new base of support to the GOP, progressives would not only help shape the party and its agenda, but would also do much to reduce the polarization in American society. Other Republicans would be far more accepting of progressives, as they would form a significant base of the party. Likewise, progressives would come to understand and accept other types of Republicans better. It can't be understated how important this point is because it creates a healthy political atmosphere for building policies that work for Americans and, I believe, enable us to achieve even greater heights than in our past. We can build a greater future if we but try. It starts by creating a healthy environment for people to work together and build that future. That many Americans would begin to feel far more accepted in society, creating a less polarized society where a better future can be built, is the second solid reason I offer for joining the Republican Party. At this point, I should mention that creating a third party would not accomplish unity at all. In fact, it would probably lead to even more polarization and divisiveness. If progressives successfully created a mainstream third party, the result would be three parties fighting against each other instead of two. And think about how hard it would be to build a successful third party. Pretty much the same scenario would exist even if progressives joined an existing third party so that it became a mainstream party. The result would still be three parties fighting against each other. I'm honestly not sure if it's better to have two parties fighting against each other or three parties, but neither outcome is good if you ask me. We need to work to unite Americans rather than to take part in any further division. Is it fair to say that most progressives see the need for returning to their roots, often so they can look for guidance towards the future? Many assume that because he served 3 terms, FDR was the most popular president, and many progressives will even say we need another FDR. But FDR is neither the root of the progressive movement, nor was he the most popular president. In fact, he might have even been the most hated president. Yes, possibly hated even more than Trump, and certainly more hated than Obama. So how did he serve 3 terms? Well, the general view of FDR was, I don't like what he's doing, but at least he's doing something. Let me give you one small example of how much FDR was hated. Much like public figures of today, FDR got a lot of hate mail. In fact, he received what is probably the most hateful letter that's ever been written to a president, maybe the most hateful letter ever. The letter said, and I quote, "If you were a good man, then Jesus Christ would not have crippled you." Now, you may say that that hatred came from conservatives, just as Trump is hated by progressives, or Obama was hated by conservatives, and that would be entirely true. However, it is faulty to assume that a truly progressive leader will divide the country as either FDR or Obama did. It is also unwise to look for a leader that would only further divide this country, as an Obama or FDR figure would. Most Americans inherently realize that the United States of America needs to be united, and as the saying goes, a nation divided among itself cannot stand. Rather than FDR, progressives need to return to their true roots under Teddy Roosevelt, because it is those roots that united the country and led to a truly populist president. It was Teddy Roosevelt that was not only the first progressive president, but also the most popular president ever. It needs to be stressed that the roots of the progressive movement came from the Republican Party, not the Democratic Party. By becoming Roosevelt Republicans, progressives will become far stronger and help to unite this country. They will get what they long for, a truly progressive warrior. While this video has focused largely on the impacts of society rather than specific policy, that's for a couple of reasons. For one, videos are being made over specific policy. For example, among other videos currently being produced is a plan for climate change that is both progressive and Republican. It will be released as the next video, or maybe the one after that. And there are several more videos to come which highlight progressive policies that the Republican Party would likely do. The second reason is that the impact a leader has on society is far more important than any specific policy. Perhaps it's best if I conclude with simply saying this. If the objection to joining the Republican Party is that there are many people I disagree with in that party, well, couldn't that be said about the Democratic Party also? Rather than the amount of people you disagree with, shouldn't the most important consideration be the opportunity that the party offers to accomplish an agenda? If you're progressive, I ask, what have Democrats done for you? If that answer is nothing, ask, what does the GOP do for its base? And even more specifically, what has Trump done for his base? That's all the time I have for now. If you like this video, please show your support by subscribing. Thanks for your time.